opinion time, because you want to know my opinion. Yeah, you do. Apologies for the slight change of scenery, because I was filming all this around late afternoon, but I had to eat. Now, from what you've heard, you probably already made a decision on what you've liked based on just the sound itself. But the thing is, though, at the end of this video, I do still prefer the Custom 22, the PRS, and I will let you know why. Because when you just hear the sound from a video, from a YouTube video, versus when you're actually playing the guitar, right? The guitars, it's two different things. The reason why I like the PRS is because the body is more ergonomic. You've got some carvings here. The body is also thinner and lighter. And I just like the slightly more tiny bit modern sound of the PRS. The Gibson, on the other hand, the body is it's an iconic body. It's a legendary body. We all know this. But we obviously, by extension from what I said about this, the Gibson is not as ergonomic. But it still sounds good. Now with the PRS, this is with the 5815, I prefer to the Burstbucker 2 because, yeah, it does get its bass from the 58, from the year of 1958, the style of humbucker from back then. But in true PRS spirit, they have, from everything that they've learned up to 2015, they've incremented to that design. So there's a nice balance of that. A nice mix of the flavors into that pickup. That's what I like about it. The Gibson, I think it does sound good on when you're hearing like just the strumming and probably pure sound alone. I guess that's really what matters, doesn't it? But I also like the I could say a grunt or that lean muscular sound from the 5815. Not only the sound, but you also, when you play it, you also feel it. Like you feel it, the way it responds to your playing, how you will get in return what you give into the guitar. So that's why I still, at the end of the day, prefer this PRS. Probably this particular one with the 5815. I don't know about the others. Certainly not so much the HFS, for example. But for what I do, I suppose, because I don't do the whole vintage and classic rock stuff, or like a Led Zeppelin, that much older kind of stuff. I do more modern type of rock, pop rock, and modern rock. See, with the Gibson pickups, I think with this in particular, the Burstbucker 2, I don't have no experience with other Burstbuckers, or I probably had a tiny bit of experience with the Burstbucker 3 from a friend's guitar, but I don't know how the custom buckers go. I don't know how the Burstbucker Pros sound, or the 61s, and all these other ones. But it's probably going to be having some similarity with the Burstbucker 2. The thing I noticed about the Burstbucker 2 is that the mid-range, I think it's somewhere in the upper mid-range, which makes, I would say, like a boxy or cardboard boxy kind of sound. And the PRS is leaner in that area. When the Rev G3 has one setting, I used one setting with both the PRS and the Gibson. And for some reason, the Gibson feels like it has more gain. When I play the Gibson, I think about dialing the gain down a little bit. I think that's because of I think it's the upper, that might be somewhere in the upper mid-range. I'm not really sure. I haven't really tested the frequencies, but there's more energy in a certain mid-range frequency of the Burst Bucker 2. And the way the 5815, the mid-range growl is more, it's a bit, I think it's a bit lower, which gives me the impression that it's like a grunt, which I prefer. It sounds a bit more modern, I suppose, with still with a taste of vintage, modern classic, I guess you would probably say. I do catch myself sometimes thinking about, going on the internet and shopping around for like a PRS 5815 LT as a replacement for the Gibson's pickups, because something about the mid-range on the Gibson, I guess I'm not used to it, right? Probably even another kind of pickup that sounds like the 5815 or the 5815 LT. I will say though that the Gibson, when you're doing those fast staccato, percussive, palm muted kind of riffs, it seems tighter. I don't know what it is. I don't know what makes it sound, but yeah, it is. It seems tighter than the 5815, than the PRS. So I'll give it that. And I like that about the Burst Bucker too, and I could probably even attribute that to the extra energy in the upper mid-range. And take into account as well that the Gibson's Burst Buckers are not potted. So I have a feeling, I'm pretty sure that affects the sound. Like, because it's unpotted, it's going to be microphonic to a degree, which means not only is it the strings vibration getting picked up by the magnets, but also because it's microphonic, it's picking up the ambient sound, which is, the tone wood. The pickups can actually hear it, can hear the actual wood, the resonation of the wood, versus fully potted pickups like the 5815. But on the other hand, though, I'd still be inclined to keep the Gibson the way it is, because it'll be a different sound, because we want diversity, and some equality, and be inclusive. But how much of that can you really hear in a recording, in a mix, which is what matters, doesn't it? In a mix in a real mix, I suppose, not so much a bedroom guitarist's mix. I'm not necessarily knocking on the bedroom guitars, because I do the bedroom guitarist thing and also the live gigging guitarist thing and the working musician thing. And I can observe the interactions in these different scenarios. But that's what I found with this comparison. But whatever you like, man, in your situation, a certain setup suits it better. That's good. I hope you have something that is not kicking you out of your immersion of practice, something that is encouraging you to practice, because that's what makes us better guitarists. That is the main thing at the end of the day. And now, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Hope you learned something from this. Hope you've taken away something. After all that, GM.